Very good evening. How are you, Hemant, and everyone? I hope all well. And now we are entering into the some litigation specific topic where you all might not have the too much study because it was not part of the or detailed discussion of the CA Inter, correct? So these topics are important from theoretical point of view. It is important, and also from your practical perspective. Also, these topics are important. So let me start. See, today we will try to cover the assessment and audit. And today I will discuss in between also multiple questions so that the purpose would be to ensure all these theoretical topic would be remembered in the class itself. Fine. So assessment and audit. Tell me one thing, whether GST audit is through chartered accountant, kya? Is that is there GST audit is happening through a practicing chartered accountant? Is it required that practicing chartered accountant will do the GST audit? The answer is no. We all know it was the part of GST audit that reconciliation statement would be through a practicing chartered accountant or cost accountant. Very good evening, Asutosh. But now it is not required. So the audit is being divided in two parts, Section 65 audit and Section 66 audit. What is the difference that we will discuss in the respective part? Let me start with the assessment. In the GST, there are multiple categories of the assessment. Assessment would be self-assessment, provisional assessment, assessment of non-filer of the returns, scrutiny assessment. We will discuss all these. So, first assessment in the GST is the self-assessment. What is that assessment? Self-assessment, Section 59. What is the meaning of self-assessment? The taxpayer who is registered in the GST filing the return under Section 39. Can you tell me the form number? What is the form number of Section 39? आप मुझे बता सकते हैं कि फॉर्म नंबर क्या है सेक्शन 39 का? Answer is GSTR 3B. Absolutely correct. When we are filing the GSTR 3B, we are determining our liability, we are determining our ITC, we are determining our inward supply liable to reverse charge, and by which we are filing the GSTR 3B. That is nothing but the self-assessment. It means I, being a taxpayer, I myself determine the liability and paying the tax. Second is the provisional assessment. Provisional assessment is an option. Point to be noted, it is an option given to the taxpayer, not to the officer. So can the provisional assessment be initiated by the department? Answer is no. The provisional assessment under Section 60 can be initiated only by the taxpayer. There are two specific situations wherein a taxpayer can go for the provisional assessment. Why? If he is not able to determine the value or he is not able to determine the rate. In only two situations, determine the value or determine the rate of the taxes, means he is not sure that what could be the value or he is not sure what could be the rate. Only in these two situations, he can approach the officer and ask that what would be my value on which I will charge the GST, or what would be my rate of the taxes which I should charge on the invoice. In that case, these two options are available to the taxpayer. He is unable to determine, then he can furnish an application. He can furnish an application stating there a reason. See, there could be the reason na, why he is not able to determine the value. There could be the reason why he is not able to determine the rate of the taxes. Therefore, once he will give the reason that why he is not able to determine the value and why he is not determine the rate of the taxes, then he will assess the tax on provisional basis. Please give the answer once again. Please give the answer once again. Who can apply for provisional assessment? Please बताइए provisional assessment के लिए कौन apply कर सकता है? Right? He is not able to determine the value and he is not able to determine the rate of the taxes. Correct? In these two cases, tax payer can apply to the tax officer, kindly give the value, kindly give the rate. And point to be noted, please note करना, ये जो answer मिलेगा, whatever the answer that officer will give, that will be provisionally answer. क्या मतलब हुआ? Officer on receipt of the application issue the notice in the prescribed form requiring the registered person to furnish the additional information. So, say for example, you are a registered person, you have applied, and I am a proper officer. So I'll see the application, and then if required, I will ask you that kindly provide the additional information so that I can arrive at my decision regarding the value or the rate. Okay. The proper officer then, after scrutinizing the application and everything, he will issue the order stating the value and stating the rate. What is the maximum? Normally not later than 90 days from the date of the receipt, allowing the payment of the tax on provisional basis. ये बात ध्यान रखना. Please note that whatever the rate, whatever the value they are saying, it will be provisional basis. In some time you will read the final assessment. In some time you will read the final assessment, meaning thereby whatever the rate or the value they have given the answer, that can be also changed in the final assessment. That may be subject to the final assessment. And therefore, because it is provisional, and therefore they are asking the security. Kitna percent? 25%. Why they are asking the security? Because if the registered person fail to pay the actual value or actual rate of the taxes, then in that case they will recover from the security. Okay. What is the time limit? 90 days, not later than 90 days from the date of the receipt of the application, allowing the payment of the tax on provisional basis, indicating the value or the rate and the amount for which bond is to be executed and security is to be furnished. The value of the security cannot exceed 25% of the bond. Furnishing of the bond and security. Very good evening, Jenny. Very good evening, Gyanendra. I think, Gyanendra. So, furnishing of the bond or security, the payment of the tax on the provisional basis may be allowed if the taxable person execute the bond the prescribed form along with the security. Okay. The bond is a document whereby the taxpayer bind himself to pay the differential tax payable at the time of the finalization of the provisional assessment. Section 60 we are talking about. As of now, we are talking about the provisional assessment. जब इसका finalization होगा and at that point of time what is the value and the rate of the taxes, उतना मुझे पे करना, इतना taxpayer को पे करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है. In order to save, so that we have discussed. ठीक है. Amount shall include, the terms amount shall include the tax component as well. Now the provisional assessment part is completed. Now in this section itself, they have carried on extended regarding the finalization of the provisional assessment. Now, whatever the provisional assessment has been given, then from that, within 6 months, from the date of the communication of order, कौन सा order? Please tell me which order? Please tell me which order? Hemant, bond or security? Normally, both provision are being given, bond or security. No. So, sorry. Security or surety you can give. That means you can give the guarantee. So that is the requirement of the law. Bond is a document whereby the taxpayer bind himself. Bond is a document whereby the taxpayer bind himself to pay the differential tax, and the security is required to be furnished in the form of bank guarantee for an amount. The bond, some sort of like undertaking. Like we have discussed a letter of, you remember that we have discussed that LUT is to be furnished before the export. If someone like to export without payment of tax, what is that LUT? LUT is nothing but the undertaking, binding himself that I will pay the tax if I would not be able to satisfy the condition. वहां पे क्या हुआ, उन्होंने एक रिटर्न अंडरटेकिंग दे दिया, पर वहां पे कोई सिक्योरिटी नहीं डिमांड कर रहे बोलो. ठीक है. बट यहाँ पे क्या करें, बॉन्ड मतलब एक मेरा सेल्फ डिक्लेरेशन तो गया, बट साथ में क्या चाहिए, मुझे सिक्योरिटी भी चाहिए. इनकेस अगर रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन फेल हो गया, मैं उस सिक्योरिटी से रिकवर कर लूंगा. दैट इज द रिक्वायरमेंट. क्लियर? Let's move further. Now, what is the time limit? What is the time limit for provisional? What is the time limit of finalization of provisional assessment? 6 months. 6 months would be counted from the date of order. Which order? The date of provisional assessment order. Okay. This 6 month can be extended 6 plus 6 plus 4 year by the Joint Commissioner for a further period not exceeding 6 months. It means initially 6 months, it can be extended by 6 more months agar joint या additional commissioner give the approval. And if the commissioner give the approval, then not exceeding 4 years. See, point to be noted. यहाँ पे क्या वर्ड लिखा है, for a further period means 6 month plus 6 month, total 1 year का time हो गया. ठीक है. Then it says above period of 6 months may be extended by the commissioner not exceeding 4 years. Means maximum time limit is 4 years that he can extend. For finalization of assessment, upper officer shall issue the notice in the prescribed form calling for the information and the record as may be required and shall issue the final assessment specifying the amount payable by the registered person or the amount refundable. Now, where the tax liability as per the final assessment is higher than the provisional assessment, then the tax become due after the order the final assessment. Registered person, in addition to the differential tax, he need to pay the interest as well at the rate specified in section 50 subsection 1 from the date the tax was due to be paid originally till the date of actual tax paid. Now you all please give the answer that what is the rate of the taxes in the section 50 subsection 1? What is the rate of the taxes in the 50 subsection 1? Can you tell me that rate of taxes क्या है 50 subsection 1 में? Please tell me what is the rate of the taxes? What is the rate of the taxage? Sorry, what is the rate of interest? I'm so sorry. What is the rate of interest in the section 50 subsection 1? What is the rate if I am not paid the taxes within time? तो मुझे interest किस rate पर देना है? What is the rate of interest? The answer is 18%. Answer is 18%. And will it be in the gross tax liability or will it be in the net tax liability? क्या इंटरेस्ट ग्रॉस पे लगेगा या इंटरेस्ट नेट पर लगेगा? इट डिपेंड अपॉन विच कंडीशन. इट डिपेंड अपॉन विच कंडीशन. इंटरेस्ट ग्रॉस पर लगेगा, इंटरेस्ट नेट पर लगेगा, ये किस बात पर डिपेंड करता है? इट डिपेंड अपॉन विच. इट डिपेंड ऑन विच कंडीशन. Will the interest be applicable on the gross tax liability or will the interest be applicable on the net tax liability? It depend upon which factor. मैं वेट कर रहा हूं. आई एम वेटिंग फॉर योर आंसर एवरीवन. इवन आशुतोष, आई एम वेटिंग फॉर योर आंसर कि इंटरेस्ट ग्रॉस पर लगेगा कि नेट पर. इस बात का डिसीजन कौन से फैक्टर पर डिपेंड करता है? नाउ this point would be dependent upon which factor? The answer is it depends upon whether the liability has been declared in the same tax period or subsequent tax period. If it is in same tax period, then answer would be net tax liability, the portion which has been paid through cash. And if it has been declared in the subsequent tax period, then it will be on the gross. Correct. Now, if the tax liability as per the final assessment is less, then it become refundable after the order of the final assessment. He shall be paid interest at the rate specified in section 56 for any period exceeding 60 days from the date of the refund application according to section 54 subsection until the date of the refund. Means application से refund की तारीख अगर 60 दिन से ज्यादा है, then from the date beyond 60 days till the date of actual disbursement, he will get the interest according to section 56. Anybody who knows or sir, why interest? They are asking because you have not paid the tax, actual tax in time. Ideally, I am also of the view, Hemant, कि यहाँ पे interest नहीं होना चाहिए. Actually, यहाँ पे interest नहीं होना चाहिए because the interest because registered person is not in the situation where he can determine the value of the rate. He is asked and then he has paid. Ideally it should not, but please read the provision says so. Tax अगर extra बन गया तो आपको additional tax you have to pay along with interest. Problem है. Then the refund would be at some percentage. No litigation. No litigation. Can you tell me the rate of interest on the section 56? We have already discussed in the refund chapter. We have already discussed in the refund chapter. When there is a delay in the refund beyond 60 days, they will pay the interest. Can you tell me what is the rate of the interest on the refund? What is the rate of the interest on the refund? Answer is 6%. Very nice, Jimmy. Very nice. 6% and 9% in case of any judgment, order or decree. So that you can refer the section 56 again. You can refer the section 56 again and you will be able to read the provision. You are able to go through that provision once again. In case any tax amount become refundable subsequent to the finalization of the provisional assessment, then interest is payable at the specified rate for a period of delay that is beyond 60 days from the date of the assessment of the order. Now, if everything is paid or it is become refundable, then release of the security. Kitna percentage tha? How much percentage the security was? How much percentage of security we have given? Kitna percent diya security ka? How much percentage of the security we have given? Answer is absolutely correct. Answer is 25%. Answer is 25%. So that security will be released, obviously. The applicant may file an application for release of the security furnished after issue of the final assessment order. The proper officer shall release the security after ensuring that applicant has paid the amount specified in the final assessment order and issue an order with a period of 7 working days from the date of the receipt of the application. ठीक है. ABC Limited is a supplier of the medical equipment to various hospitals. While supplying the equipment of ABC is not sure about the rate of IGST 18 or 28, you are required to advise ABC in this situation. So you will give the advice that he can approach the officer and ask for provisional assessment. Correct? Now, section 61. What is the section 61? It is very important. In the practical life also, it is very important. And in exam point of view also, I feel so it is very important. And in practically, have you seen any notice in the scrutiny of written section? आप मुझे बताएं क्या practically आपने कोई ऐसा notice देखा है scrutiny of written? If yes, then give me the form number in which they are issuing the notice. Yes, we have seen, and the form number is ASMT 10. What is the scrutiny of return? The scrutiny of returns, it says that return furnished by a registered taxpayer may be selected for scrutiny for its correctness, where any return furnished by a registered person, the proper officer shall scrutinize the same with reference to the information available with him. What could be the information? In case of any discrepancy, it's found during the scrutiny of return. How they can find the discrepancy? Can you tell me that ITC will be taken based on which document? ITC can be taken based on which document? Quickly tell me, ITC मैं किस document के base पे लूंगा? The answer is GSTR 2B. Let's say ITC is appearing as 1 lakh, but the registered person has filed a 3B by taking the ITC is 1.50 lakhs. Ideally, is it not a discrepancy? Yes. Similarly, they have filed the GSTR 1 but with rupees 2 lakh, but while filing the GSTR 3B, they have paid rupees 1.80 lakh. Correct. Whether there is any difference, answer is yes. Is there any discrepancy? Answer is yes. There could be the multiple example. There could be the multiple example, but I am giving you very simple thing that based on the returns or any other particular furnished by you. Let's say you are furnishing the e-way bill, you are making the e-invoice also. Suppose e-invoicing was made for 2.5 lakh and you are reporting in the GSTR1 only 2 lakh. Why there is a discrepancy? So based on any particular, if the officer could found the discrepancy, then he will issue the notice. Okay, before moving further, please tell me the time limit. Please tell me the time limit for provisional assessment and time limit for finalization of finalization of provisional assessment. Time limit of provisional assessment, मुझे provisional assessment का order कितना time में देना है, and what is the time limit of finalization of provisional assessment? This answer is 6 months. What is that? 90 days. Okay. Answer is this is 90 days. And finalization the provisional assessment 6 months, that can be extended by 6 more months or total 4 year. 6 plus 6 or total 4 year. Correct. So if I like the officer like to extend by 6 more months, then which officer he need to obtain the permission? Who has the authority to extend by 6 more months? Who has the authority to extend by 6 more months? The answer is yes. Joint Commissioner या Additional Commissioner. Now, the notice. In case any discrepancy is found during the scrutiny of returns, officer shall issue the notice informing discrepancy and seeking his explanation within 30 days from the date of the so-called notice, or such further period as may be permitted by him, and wherever possible quantify amount of tax, interest, and any other amount payable in relation to that discrepancy. Reply to the notice? Yes, the notice has to be given the reply within 30 days from the date of the notice, or such other time, extended time as may be permitted by the officer. He has the two choice. Either he will accept the discrepancy and pay the tax, or he will give the explanation that why there's a difference between 1 and 3B. Why there's a difference between B3B? Why there's a difference between e-invoicing R1? What could be the reason? Let's say I was required to change the value, but e-invoicing portal does not allow me after 24 hours. That could be the reason. Some ITC was there in my GST to be of the last tax period, but I could not take. Same I am taking right now. Could be the possible reason. So whatever the reason by which he's thought, by which he is under the impression that he does not require to pay any additional taxes, then he can give the explanation. But yes, reply has to be given. Why reply has to be given? Because if reply has not been given by the taxpayer, then officer can take any action out of the four. What are the four section? What are the 4 points? What are the 4 things that he can take action by the proper officer? Where the explanation furnished by the registered person is found acceptable. Very nice. Officer shall inform accordingly and no further action shall be taken in this regard. Second is, if no satisfactory explanation is furnished, then after accepting the discrepancy, fail to take any corrective measure. मतलब या तो एक्सप्लेनेशन से सेटिस्फाइड नहीं है, या जहां पे टैक्सपेयर कहता है कि मैं एग्री कर रहा हूं, बट ही डज नॉट टेक एनी करेक्टिव एक्शन इन द रिटर्न, then officer may take any of the following. So what are the action that officer can take? 65. What is the 65? That we will discuss in some time. That is an audit. 66 is a special audit. 67, that again we will discuss today. Inspection procedure. There's 3 points we will cover in our today class, and this would be covered in the next class tomorrow. कल हमारी 2 क्लास है. How many classes we have? We have the 2 classes. Class number 1 in the same time, like 6 to 9 p.m., for which this is the link, and class in afternoon 12 to 3, in which we will take the revisionary part. We will take the revisionary part, and the timing would be 12 to 3, for which there is a separate link. And last is, you can determine the tax interest penalty in the 73, 74. Let's move to the non-filer of the returns. We have completed the registration chapter. Very interesting question I'm asking. If taxpayer does not file the return, then what is the consequence on registration? अगर कोई taxpayer अपना रिटर्न फाइल नहीं करता, what is the implication on the registration of that registered person? आप मुझे आंसर दे दीजिए. Really appreciate if you can give me the answer. No problem, but not remember the phone number. No issue. Afternoon class is not okay. Okay, they have given the Zoom link only. They have given the Zoom link. I think you and the board of studies are sharing on the email the text to the registered to not sorry not registered person, the CA final students. What is my question? कि मेरा रजिस्ट्रेशन पर क्या इंप्लीकेशन होगा अगर रिटर्न फाइल नहीं करता मैं? वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन टू ऑल. मैं 1 मिनट देता हूं एंड यू ऑल गिव मी द आंसर. Tell me the answer. The answer is, oh my god, there is no answer. No, no, Ginny, that is not right answer. No. Recall the provision of the section 29, subsection 2. Officer has the power to cancel the registration if taxpayer does not file the return for the specified period. I request everyone, आप लोग 29 सेक्शन देखिए, आइडेंटिफाई कीजिए कि कितने टाइम तक रिटर्न फाइल नहीं किया, तो देन गिव मी द आंसर टुमारो. Is it 1 tax period? Is it 2 tax period? Is it 3 tax period? नहीं 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 ज्ञानेंद्र, अभी शायद ये सही आंसर नहीं हो सकता. Probably I'm not giving whether it is right or wrong. Just check and then give me the answer कि what will be the frequency of the return अगर वो QRMP है तो. What would be the frequency of the return which he has not furnished if he is a regular taxpayer monthly return filer? What would be the impact if taxpayer is a if a composition dealer? तो 3 कैटेगरी में मुझे आपको आंसर देना. You all tell me the answer tomorrow. If the taxpayer does not file the return, he is monthly. If he is quarterly taxpayer and if he is a composition taxpayer. नहीं 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 ज्ञानेंद्र, एक बार चेक करना, मजा आएगा. ठीक है, बट अच्छा लगा. You have attempted the answer. I am not saying that your answer is wrong. I am just saying that we will discuss tomorrow. So always remember that one impact, that if the return has not been filed for so much of the tax period as defined in 29(2), then the registration can be cancelled. That is one part. But अभी हम क्या बात करें? Assessment of non-filer of the returns. The best judgment assessment. What is that? Notwithstanding anything contrary contained in 73 or 74, where a registered person failed to furnish the return under section 39 or under section 45. अगर 39 रिटर्न फाइल नहीं करता या 45 रिटर्न फाइल नहीं करता, मींस फाइनल रिटर्न, fail to furnish the return, okay, then the notice will be given in the section 46. What is the notice in the section 46? That the notice will be issued in the GSTR. Form number is not required, but just मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको. There's a detailed SOP. There's a detailed SOP issued by the CBIC wide circular 129 that will also discuss. तो क्या होगा? The notice will be issued by the proper officer to the defaulting taxable person. Now this is almost in all the state, I'm saying almost it is systematic. It is generated by the system itself. Now they are not required to wait for the proper officer, because if it is a manual process, then there would be not possible. It would be there would be the possibility that all are not being covered. तो अब क्या हुआ? जैसे ही वो रिटर्न फाइल नहीं करता, सिस्टम हिमसेल्फ विल इश्यू द नोटिस. कितने दिन में? What is the frequency? We all will discuss in the subsequent page, wherein the guideline or circular has specified the entire process of the non-filer of the return. Section 62 का assessment has been specified. It says that requiring him to furnish the return within a period of 15 days and taxable person failed to file the return within the given time. So he has not filed the return and he has not complied the time which has been given by the notice. The officer may proceed to assess the tax liability to the best of his judgment, taking into account all the relevant material which is available or which he has gathered. How it is available, how it is gathered, might be while determining the liability, they can determine the input tax credit based on the 2B. They can determine the liability based on the invoicing. They can determine the liability based on the e-way bill. There could be the multiple information. Best of its judgment. It is not the maximum liability. No. They will apply their mind and calculate the ITC liability, everything, whatever the liability, they will calculate to the best of his judgment. ठीक है. What is the time limit for assessment order? The order of the best judgment shall be issued by the officer in the prescribed form. Summary will be uploaded electronically in the prescribed form. एक बात ध्यान रखना. They are asking or law require that order will be issued along with summary. It means if in your exam you will write the answer, make sure for this 62 assessment, they are saying the order will be issued in the prescribed form and also summary will be uploaded electronically in the prescribed form. The assessment order shall be issued by the proper officer within a period of 5 years from the date specified in section 44. What is the section 44? That is annual return. Can anybody tell me what is the due date of annual return? Normally, what is the due date of annual return? हमने जीएसटी रिटर्न के चैप्टर में डिस्कस किया था. What is the due date for annual return? What is the due date of annual return? Absolutely correct. The 31st December following the end of the financial year. मतलब अभी अगर मैं 24-25 की बात कर रहा हूं, which is to be ended on 31st March next month, then उसका GSTR 9 annual return कब तक फाइल करना है? It will be furnished till 31st December after March. ठीक है. So what is the time limit? The time limit is 5 years from the date specified in section 44. which the tax not paid relate. When the due date is extended, the extended due date becomes the set date for calculation of the 5 year. When the due date is extended, the extended due date become the set date for calculation of 5 period that we know. Correct. So they are giving the example. Let's assume that financial year 23-24, the due date is 31st December 2024. Correct. If the person default in filing the return for a period following financial year 23-24, the 5 year will be counted from 31st December 2024. That is 5 year 31st December 2029. Withdrawal of assessment order means if they have issued the assessment order, it can be withdrawn when the registered person furnish the valid return for the default period within 60 days of the service of the assessment order passed on the best of his judgment. See, whatever the assessment order they have passed in the section 62, उसके कितना दिन में वैलिड रिटर्न फाइल कर दिया within 60 days. Valid return is furnished for the default period within 60 days from the notice, then it shall be deemed to have been withdrawn, but the liability to pay the interest will continue and late fees will continue. तो मुझे लेट फीस पे करना होगा, मुझे इंटरेस्ट पे करना होगा, but the order, assessment order will be withdrawn. However, where the registered person failed to furnish the valid return within 60 days, then additional 60 days has been given. मतलब अगर आप विड्रॉल ऑफ असेसमेंट ऑर्डर की बात करेंगे, मैं कहूंगा 60 + 60. It means 60 he can file the pending return, late fees and interest he has to pay. He can use the additional 60 days also, wherein he is required to pay the additional late fees of ₹100 per day beyond 60 days. Okay. And in case he furnishes the valid return within such extended period, the said assessment order shall be deemed to have been withdrawn, but the liability, interest and liability to pay the late fees will continue. I hope it is clear to all. एक बार confirm करना. Now we can read the guideline which has been given for non-filer of the returns. ठीक है. ठीक है. उन्होंने कहा, CBSE is given that system will send the message to all the registered person 3 days in advance before the due date. ठीक है. So let's say due date is 20, so they will give the message by 17. Once the due date is crossed, so 20 or whatever the due date is, 22, 24, whatever the due date is there, then again system generated message and mail would be sent to all the defaulter. Defaulter means the person who has not filed the return after the due date. Correct. This time the mail and message will be given to authorized signatory as well as proprietor, partner, director, karta. So they are also informing to the proprietor, partner, director, whatever. After expiry of the 5 days, means after 25th, they will issue the notice under section 46, that is BSTR 3A. File the return within 15 days, 1-5. If valid return is filed, no problem, the matter is closed. If the return is not filed within 15 days, then officer may proceed to assess the liability to the best of his judgment under section 62. The officer would upload the summary of the order. Also, he will upload the order as well as summary of the order, both electronically. For the purpose of section 62, The officer may take into account the following: one, e-way bill, GSTR 2A. Earlier it was 2A, now it is 2B, correct? Or any information which has been gathered under section 71, that we will inspection, search, seizure, जहां से भी उसको कुछ information मिला है, that it will be gathered, it will be considered for determining the best judgment or liability to the best of his judgment. If the defaulter furnishes the valid return within 60 days, then the said assessment will be deemed to have been withdrawn. Now, might be there would be one more question, sir. Uh, let me read this. The said return remain unfurnished within the statutory time period of 60 days. The officer may initiate the proceeding under section 78, recovery under section 79. Now, one confusion which might be there, sir, here they have given in the guidelines circular, they've given only 60 days. But when we have read the provisions, it was asking for 60 plus 60. The reason was when the circular was issued, at that point of time limit was 60 days only. But later on, the law has been amended and they have given the additional 60 days with the late fees, additional late fees of rupees 100 per day. क्या मतलब? Now the circular, whatever you are finding the language is above given by the circular only. So you will find only 60 days and after that recovery will be initiated. But अगर अभी मैं लॉ की बात करूं, then we have talked about 60 plus 60. तो सर वहां पे 60 plus 60, यहाँ पे 60, ऐसा क्यों? क्योंकि ये जब सर्कुलर इश्यू हुआ था, later on the law was amended. Earlier it was only giving 60, but now they are giving 60 plus 60. And why they have made 4 months? And there was a logical reason also. उन्होंने 60 plus 60 क्यों किया? See, if any order be not satisfied, then we can make the appeal. Time limit to make the appeal for first order is 3 month normal and 1 month condonation. What is the total time limit? 4 months. And there could be this could be one of the reason, as per my understanding, this could be one of the reason that 60 plus 60 has been given in the law. I hope it is clear. If you are confirm करें so that we can proceed. Okay. Now let's proceed further. Let's proceed further. Assessment of unregistered person. It means the person is not registered or he was registered, but registration got cancelled. Later on, he has taken the cancellation, but still he was liable to take the registration. पहला बात, failed to obtain the registration. What is the section 63? Assessment of unregistered person. It means notwithstanding anything contained, failed to obtain the registration. मतलब I was liable for registration, but I have not taken the registration. Situation number 1. Situation number 2, the registration has been cancelled by the officer under 29(2) by any of the following reason. If you go to the 29(2), you will find whatever the reason. Registered person has contravened the provision. A person paying the tax does not, under section 10, has not furnished the return beyond 3 months from the due date of furnishing of the said return. Registered person other than the person under section 10, so regular taxpayer, not furnish the return for such continuous tax period as may be prescribed. For that you need to refer the rule जो आपको देखना है, and you have to tell me the answer tomorrow. If someone has taken the voluntary registration and not commenced the business within 6 months from the date of the registration. ठीक है. registration has been obtained by mean of the fraud, willful misstatement, or suppression of the fact. But who was liable to pay the tax? The officer may proceed to assess the tax liability of that unregistered person to the best of his judgment for the relevant tax period. Okay. Now, issue of the notice. So, fine. Before making the assessment, officer will always issue the notice. See, that is the basically principle of natural justice, fundamental right. See, अगर कोई order, if any order is being given without notice, the order would itself be void, not sustainable in the law. Even though the matter is correct, but because of the violation of the fundamental principle as per the Indian Constitution, तो वो notice अपने आप में void हो जाएगा. So they are saying that officer shall issue the notice to the taxable person containing the ground on which the assessment is proposed to be made on the best of his judgment, shall serve a summary thereof electronically in the prescribed form. The taxable person shall be given 15 days time to furnish the return, to furnish the reply. Thereafter, an order will be passed electronically. However, no assessment order will be passed without giving the person opportunity of being heard. मतलब आप नोटिस देंगे और साथ में उसे अपनी बात कहने का मौका देंगे. I am officer, I will give you the time limit and I will give the time for hearing also. Suppose you have asked for personal hearing. So it is my responsibility to give you the time before passing any order. Time limit for assessment order. Again, the time limit will be 5 years from the due date of furnishing of annual return. Last is summary assessment in special cases. Section 64. What is the special case? For example, Mr. A is a registered person. Let's say department, I know that this person is liable to pay the tax to the government. And if I will not do the assessment on fast track basis, सेक्शन 64 को हम लोग नॉर्मली ये भी कहते हैं नॉर्मल लेमन लैंग्वेज में फास्ट ट्रैक असेसमेंट. इफ आई विल नॉट डू द असेसमेंट अर्ली, आई डू अग्री, टाइम लिमिट इज 5 ईयर, बट मुझे उसका असेसमेंट जल्दी करना पड़ेगा. क्यों? बिकॉज आई हैव द रीजन दैट ही विल go out of India. He will leave India permanently. Then it becomes difficult to recover the taxes. In that case, it can be initiated to protect the government ka revenue, but prior permission is required for additional commissioner or joint commissioner. You all tell me that this additional commissioner and joint commissioner we have discussed already at one more place. कहां पे हमने पढ़ा था एडिशनल कमिश्नर या जॉइंट कमिश्नर? We have discussed at one more place additional commissioner or joint commissioner. You tell me where we have discussed. Provisional assessment for 6 months. Yes, additional. Absolutely correct, beta. Absolutely correct. So they are saying summary assessment can be initiated to protect the revenue, but I have to take the permission of additional commissioner or joint commissioner. Then the officer has the evidence that a taxable person has incurred a liability to pay the tax and the sufficient ground to believe that delay in passing the order may adversely affect the revenue. मैंने आपको एक एग्जांपल दिया कि वो इंडिया छोड़ के चला जाएगा. There could be another example also, another reason also, but there has to be sufficient ground to believe. Again, summary assessment order and summary thereof shall be uploaded electronically in the prescribed form. It means they will have to upload on the GST portal network, जो GST network ने develop किया. Withdrawal of the assessment order. the summary assessment order may be withdrawn by additional commissioner or joint commissioner on an application filed by the taxable person for withdrawal of the summary assessment order within 30 days. It means the taxable person can can see, let's say the uh, uh, initiation that ASMT 62 63 will be initiated against Mr. A, that I have taken the permission. Now, when I have initiated, then this person, Mr. A, has the right to file the application before Joint Commissioner or Additional Commissioner that there is, sir, no additional ground. I will not leave India. I am genuine taxpayer, paying the tax properly. Then why you are doing my assessment on a fast track mode? Why you are doing my assessment under section 63? Then based on the application by the taxable person, yes, the summary assessment order can be withdrawn within 30 days from the receipt of order. And second, on his own motion, means this officer can also take the action, withdraw the assessment order if they found such order is erroneous and may instead follow the procedure laid down in 73-74. Matlab, instead of 63 ka process, there's a good ground that process can be initiated in the 73-74. What is the 73-74? That we will discuss in the next class tomorrow. But that is very important section. ठीक है, to determine the tax interest penalty we'll discuss in the next class. But अभी क्या है, अभी ये है कि there has to be the sufficient ground to start, prior permission has to be there, and officer after issuing the order, additional or joint commissioner can also withdraw either based on the application of the taxable person, or they can do the same at his own motion. ठीक है. Now, deemed taxable person in case of the supply of the goods, where the taxable person to whom the liability pertain is not ascertainable, and such liability pertain to supply of the goods. The person in charge of the goods shall be deemed to be the taxable person, liable to be assessed and liable to pay the tax and any other amount due under this section. Means किसी person where tax evaded goods are under transportation or are stored in a warehouse, and taxable person in respect of such goods cannot be ascertained, the person in charge of the goods shall be deemed to be the taxable person and will be assessed to tax. So let's take a break of 10 minutes. We will resume at 7:10 and then we will start the audit. In the GST audit, we will discuss basically two provisions, section 65 and section 66. First, we will complete this and then we will start and complete inspection search seizure. These are the 3 point or 3 agenda for the today class. ठीक है, एक बार 10 मिनट का ब्रेक स्टार्ट करते हैं. We will resume at 7:10 and then we will start the audit. मनीष जी, ब्रेक स्टार्ट कर दीजिए 10 मिनट का. So, we were talking about Section 65, audit by the tax authority. What is that? In this 65, the audit would be taken by the proper officer only. Means departmental are taking the audit under Section 65. What is then audit under Section 66? First, understand the difference between those. That is the special audit under Section 66. Special audit means it will be conducted by the chartered accountant or cost accountant in practice, but this would be CA or professional would not be engaged by the taxpayer. It will be instructed by the commissioner. Whatever the fees is, etc., that will be paid by the commissioner. The 2 point I like to highlight, whether it is 65 or 66, the audit would be either by the department from their officer or either by the department from chartered accountant practicing. Then now there is no concept of GST audit by the taxpayer while filing the GST R9C. They have to do that reconciliation by the certified chartered accountant. No, अब वो कोई concept नहीं. Earlier it was there, but 2021 onwards, they have removed the concept of the 35 subsection 5 was omitted, and as a result, the audit by the practicing chartered accountant has been done away. These are the 2 points which we like to discuss in detail. Tax authority, who may conduct the audit. The audit of the registered person may be undertaken by the commissioner or by any officer authorized by him by general or special order. Okay. Then audit may be carried out at his place of business, at place of business of the registered person or in their office. It means either officer will come to the premises of the registered person or they will call for the document in their office only. Period of the audit could be for a financial year or part thereof, multiple thereof. It means it could be for 1 year, it could be for 6 months, or it could be for 2 years. The commissioner or an officer authorized by him by way of the general or special order may undertake the audit of any registered person even for a part of the financial year or multiple financial year. Where it is decided to undertake the audit, तो उन्हें क्या करना पड़ेगा? They have to issue the notice not less than 15 working days prior to the conduct of the audit. It means 15 दिन का टाइम उनको देना पड़ेगा. किसको? Registered person को. Might be he need to prepare some reconciliation, he need to prepare some audit documents, etc. This is practically become very, very difficult. What is that? Commencement of audit. See, because जब audit commence हो गया है तो उसका completion का time है. But when this will be commenced, it is a big question. It is a big question. Why, sir? Because the term commencement is linked to the date on which a record has been made available. Let's say I am the officer. I'm asking you the document. You have submitted the document. Again, I'm asking the document. You submitted the document. Again, I'm asking. So there could be the possibility that in bits and pieces, the document is being called for. And if this is the case, then, the date on which the records accounts called for by the GST authorities are made available to them will be the commencement date. And why the commencement of audit date is important? Because completion of the audit is linked to the date of commencement. Let me read once again. The terms commencement of the audit is important because the audit has to be completed within a given time frame. Commencement of the audit means the letter of the following, the date on which the records are made available, or the actual institution, the audit, the place, the business, so the taxpayer, whichever is later. Then time limit of completion, then it has to be completed within 3 months from the date of the commencement of the audit. The period is extendable for a further period of 6 months by the commissioner. How to conduct the audit? The officer authorized to conduct the audit of records and books of accounts shall, within the assistance of the team of the officer and official company, may verify the following record document on the basis of which the books of accounts are maintained, returns and statement furnished under the GST law, correctness of turnover, exemption, deduction, the rate of the tax applied in respect of the supply of the goods or services or both, ITC availed and utilized, refund claimed, and other relevant issues. During the course of the audit, the authorized officer may require the registered person to facilitate the verification of the accounts and the records available or requisition by the authority, to provide the information as the authority may require, and to render the assistance for timely completion of the audit. Finalization of the audit, the officer may inform the registered person the discrepancy noticed, if any, as observation of the audit, and the said person may file the reply. So once audit is completed, then they will give the observation to the taxpayer, and then that person will give the reply to that observations. Officer shall finalize the finding of the audit after due consideration by the registered person to the audit observation. On conclusion of the audit, officer shall, within 30 days, inform the registered person whose records are audited about the audit finding and the reason for such finding. The officer shall also inform the said person his right and obligation against the such observations. Point to be noted: on conclusion of the audit, the officer shall, within 30 days, inform the registered person whose records are audited about the finding, reason for such finding. Officer shall also inform the right and obligation against such observations, where the audit result in deduction of the tax not paid, short paid, erroneously refunded, or ITC wrongly availed or utilized. एक बात हमेशा ध्यान रखना, मैं हमेशा मैं स्ट्रेस करता हूं, आई एम गिविंग द अंडरलाइन और गिविंग द स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट दैट जब इस वर्ड को आप सेक्शन 50 के साथ कंपेयर करोगे, सेक्शन 50 सबसेक्शन 3 which talks about the interest for ITC, wrong utilization of ITC, वहां पे भी पहले वर्ड अवेल्ड और यूटिलाइज था, बट अब क्या हो गया, अवेल्ड एंड यूटिलाइज्ड हो गया, अवेल्ड एंड यूटिलाइज्ड हो गया. लेकिन यहां पर आज भी इन द सेक्शन 73 और सेक्शन 74 still the time limit, still the wording is or. There is a time limit to issue the so cause notice, there is a time limit to issue the order, that we will discuss in the next tomorrow class. But याद रखना एक बात, यहां पे वर्ड आज भी और है. And in the section 50 subsection 3, earlier it was or, but later on the word and was substituted, means wrongly availed and utilized. Practical point for reference: Unlike the direct tax regime, in the GST regime, separate assessment order is not passed by the tax authority for each financial year. In the GST regime, tax authority may conduct the audit of a taxpayer involving one or more financial year. At the end of the audit, the tax authority are required to communicate the finding of the audit for the entire audit period along with the reason. Further, in the GST regime, audit exercise may be carried out at the place of the business of the registered person or at the department office also. In such case, the team of the department office visit the premises of the registered person and carry out the audit. Now, let's do some revision. We have completed section 65 and we have completed the assessment part also. Tell me how many assessment are there in the GST? How many assessments? Give me the name of that assessment. एक का नाम बताएं, दो का बताएं, तीन का बताएं, whatever you can. Please tell me the name of the assessment, category of the assessment. We have discussed 5 types of assessment in the GST. Tell me अगर किसी का भी नाम आपको याद है. Tell me any one or two name, any one or two name, 3 name, 4 name, 5 name, whatever you can. Absolutely correct. Fine. So I'm trying to see the answer. Hemant has given 2, absolutely correct. Ginny has given 1, absolutely correct. Great. Gyanendra. Provisional assessment, self-assessment, then assessment of non-filer of the returns, assessment of non-filer of the return, scrutiny of returns. Correct. 1 we have left. Assessment of unregistered person. Very right. Very right. And assessment in special case. Absolutely correct. That we also call as a fast track assessment. Correct. So you have completed every categories. Okay. And tell me the assessment in special cases would be initiated after the permission of assessment of fast track assessment. Assessment in special cases would be initiated after taking the written approval from, absolutely correct, joint commissioner या additional commissioner. What is the time limit to do the assessment? What is the time limit to do such assessment? Tell me, what is the time limit to do such assessment? Maybe let me ask 5 or 10 minutes. Let me spend on the revision of the part. Then we will move to the section 66. उसके बाद हम section 66 की बात करेंगे, right? My question is, what is the time limit to do the assessment? What is the time limit to do the assessment? What is the time limit to do the assessment? The 5 year would be counted from which date? 5 year would be counted from which date? Right, Gyanendra? Absolutely, Jeannie. And Hemant, fine, you have given the right answer for that category, but my question was basically on 63. It would be counted from the annual letter. Absolutely correct. Now, the provisional assessment would be initiated by proper officer or by registered person. Provisional assessment would be initiated by the proper officer or by the it would be initiated by the proper officer or by the taxpayer, registered person. Answer is registered person. We have discussed that registered person can initiate the provisional assessment if he is unable to determine two things. Can you tell me वो दो चीजें क्या थी? अगर वो डिटरमाइन नहीं कर पा रहा, then registered person can approach the officer for giving the clarity. The two things are absolutely correct, Hemant. Gyanendra, the answer is value of the goods and value of the supply and rate of the taxes. Yes, yes, Ginny, you are also correct. मतलब अगर मैं वैल्यू डिटरमाइन नहीं कर पा रहा हूं या रेट ऑफ टैक्स डिटरमाइन नहीं कर रहा हूं तो मैं रिक्वेस्ट कर सकता हूं टू गिव. व्हाट इज द टाइम लिमिट टू कंप्लीट द प्रोविजनल असेसमेंट ऑर्डर? व्हाट इज द टाइम लिमिट टू कंप्लीट द प्रोविजनल असेसमेंट? मेरा क्वेश्चन सिर्फ प्रोविजनल असेसमेंट का. व्हाट इज द टाइम लिमिट? यस, द आंसर इज 90 days. 90. We have discussed regarding the assessment of non-filer of the returns and for which there is a process. So one alert would be given, one message would be given to the all taxpayer within how many days before? सबसे पहले सभी टैक्स पेयर को, रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन को एक मैसेज आएगा कि भाई योर रिटर्न इज ड्यू, काइंडली फाइल द रिटर्न विदिन 3 days in advance. Within 3 days in advance, right? And if the return is not filed, then the message and mail will be goes to the every defaulter. अगर उसने फिर भी रिटर्न फाइल नहीं किया, within how many days, then notice will be issued. If the return has not been filed within how many days after that reminder of the defaulter, then उसको नोटिस इश्यू हो जाएगा. द आंसर इज 5 days. आंसर इज 5 days. नाउ विदिन 5 days अगर रिटर्न फाइल कर दिया ओके, नहीं तो क्या करेगा? नोटिस इश्यू हो जाएगा. देन हाउ मेनी डेज विल बी गिवन आफ्टर द नोटिस टू फाइल द रिटर्न? हाउ मेनी डेज विल बी गिवन आफ्टर द नोटिस टू फाइल द रिटर्न? आंसर इज 15 days. 15. Now within 15 days, if the return is not filed, then assessment order will be issued. Now the important question, अगर assessment order issue हो चुका है, then within how many days it will be deemed to be withdrawn? कितना दिन का टाइम है जिसमें वो विड्रॉल हो जाएगा अगर वो रिटर्न फाइल कर देता है? टैक्स पेयर, रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन if file the returns, then the registration will be deemed to be withdrawn. Very important question. Yes. Is it only 60? हेमंत, is it only 60 या कुछ एडिशनल टाइम लिमिट भी है, कुछ एक्स्ट्रा फीस पे करके? यस, राइट जीनी, राइट ज्ञानेंद्र. 60 plus 60. What is the difference between first 60 and second 60? What is the difference between first 60 and second 60? Absolutely correct. एडिशनल लेट फीस पेबल होगा 100 rupees per day under CGST. So if I'm talking about कितना टोटल पे करना पड़ेगा, it will always 200. 100 CGST का और 100 SGST का, टोटल 200 per day. But अभी हम लोग we are talking about the CGST section. Therefore the time limit of 60 plus 60. अगर वो 60 में नहीं करता, additional 60 is available with him, but he has to pay the additional late fees. Absolutely correct. Can the audit will be initiated for the part of the financial year also? Can the GST audit be initiated for the part of the financial year? Answer is yes, it can be. It can be initiated by the part of the for the part of the financial year as well. Now let's move to the 66. What is the 66? This is a special audit. If at any stage during the scrutiny, inquiry, and investigation, or any other proceeding before him, any officer not below the rank of the assistant commissioner, having regard to the nature and complexity of the case and the revenue, interest of revenue, is of the opinion that the value is not correctly declared and credit is not within the normal limit. What is the definition of the normal limit? Nothing has been given. What is the meaning of not correctly declared? No, nothing has been given. But the point is, the value has not been correctly declared or credit is availed not within the normal limit. He may, with the prior approval of the commissioner, issue the direction to the registered person to get his record, including books, examined and audited by a chartered accountant or cost accountant as nominated by the commissioner. This chartered accountant or cost accountant will not be identified by the registered person. It will be nominated by the commissioner. The provision of the special audit shall have the effect even if the accounts has been audited under any provision of the GST law. So for example, I'm talking about 35(5), the initial days when that GST audit was there by the professional. Then also the special audit can be conducted for that person. What is the time limit within which the audit is to be completed? A chartered accountant or cost accountant as nominated by the commissioner shall submit the report within 90 days. Please quickly confirm. We have discussed 90 days at one more place also. हमने 90 दिन का एक जगह और बात किया था. Please confirm at which place we have discussed 90 days का बात. We have talked about this 90 days at one more place. कहाँ पे बात की थी हमने? In this chapter only. I'm talking about this chapter only. Provisional assessment. Very nice, beta. So, the chartered accountant or cost accountant, as nominated by the commissioner, shall submit the report within 90 days to the said assistant commissioner, mentioning therein such other particular as may be prescribed, specified, not prescribed. Assistant commissioner may extend the said period of 90 days by a further period of 90 days on an application made to him by the registered person or chartered accountant or cost accountant, or for any material and sufficient reason. Who will bear the cost? The expense of the examination and audit of the records, including remuneration of chartered accountant or cost accountant, shall be determined and shall be paid. मतलब determine भी commissioner करेंगे और payment भी commissioner करेंगे. How special audit report to be dealt with? The registered person shall be given an opportunity of the being heard in respect of any material gathered on the basis of the special audit which is proposed to be used in any proceeding against him under this act. On conclusion of the special audit, a registered person shall be informed about the finding. Where the special audit result in the detection of the tax not paid, short paid, erroneously refunded, or ITC wrongly availed or utilized, the process of the demand and recovery will be initiated under section 73 or 74. तो कैसे डील हो जाएगी? सबसे पहले एक अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग हर्ड दिया जाएगा, ठीक है, on the basis of special audit and which is proposed to be used in any proceeding under this act. On conclusion of the special audit, the registered person shall be informed about the finding where the special audit result into the detection of tax not paid, short paid, erroneously refunded, or wrongly availed or utilized. The process of the demand and recovery will be initiated against the registered person. Practical point for reference. Let's read. Upon conclusion of an audit, Under Section 65 or special audit under Section 66, the registered person is communicated the proposed tax, interest, and other liabilities, if any, along with the audit finding. The registered person is called upon to discharge the liability. In case the registered person discharge the liability as proposed, no further action will be taken. Otherwise, that authority may initiate the proceeding against the registered person under section 73 or 74. बार बार आ रहा है section 73 74. Anyone who have the idea about 73 74? Can anybody like to tell me what is the 73, what is the 74? है क्या ये चीज? We have discussed multiple times. Just 1 minute का break लेता हूँ. Allow me only 1 minute. Meanwhile, please give the answer. What is 73? What is 74? So what is 73 and what is 74? 73 and 74. Very nice, yeah. Very nice. My God. Gajab. Very appreciable, yeah. So 73. Wow. Very nice to all the participants. 73, 74 do see these are the process for determining the tip tax interest penalty. It is the process of determining the tax interest penalty, and because of any 5 reasons. What are the 5 reasons? Tax not paid, short paid, erroneously refunded, wrongly ITC has been availed or utilized. The reasoning are the categories are same, but 73 is for non-fraud cases. It means where the intention of the taxpayer is not malified. Yes, the mistake is there, but the intention of the taxpayer is not wrong. In the 74, the malified situation. It means the taxpayer who had committed the mistake, that mistake was intentionally. We'll discuss in detail in tomorrow, but yes, that is the brief of 73 74. Okay. Now, upon conclusion of an audit under section 65 or special audit under section 66, the registered person is communicated the proposed tax, interest, and other liabilities along with the audit finding. In case the registered person discharge the liability, no further action will be taken. Otherwise, the authority may initiate the proceeding against the registered person. No non-payment of the liability proposed on the culmination of an audit or special audit does not automatically result in the initiation of the recovery proceeding. In case of the non-payment, further proceedings are required to be initiated in the 73-74 that we have already discussed, right? And complete. So by this, we have completed this chapter. Then we have to start another chapter. Let me open that particular chapter. But yes, we have completed that assessment wala part and audit part. We have completed. I hope it's everyone is fair enough and have the confidence ना. अभी तो याद भी हो गए provision, right? We are able to revise the provision, right? So now we will see that is not in your syllabus. So someone, Ashutosh, you are asking 74 capital A. Basically, that will replace the 73 as well as 74. It will replace both 73 and 74. That is the new section which is not in your syllabus. Whenever it will be syllabus, we will discuss this provision also. ठीक है ना? Is that okay? ठीक है, चलो बात करते हैं. Now let's move to the one more discussion, that is inspection, search and seizure. Again, not too much lucrative, interesting, but yes, we will do in the same pattern so that provision should be remembered. The section is 67, the power of inspection, search and seizure. Power of inspection enable the officer to access any place of the business of a taxable person and also any place of the business of a person engaged in transporting the goods who is an owner or operator of the warehouse or godown. The point to be noted, क्या inspection सिर्फ taxable person का हो सकता है? Not necessary. 67 giving the power to do the inspection for unregistered person also, like the place of the business of the person who is a transporter or place of the business of a owner of the warehouse or godown or operator of the warehouse godown, even though they are not taxable person, they are not registered person, but uska inspection हो सकता है. See, normally in the tomorrow class we will discuss, and today class also we have discussed registered person, taxable person and person. These are the three terms which we will use at multiple places. The person means it is a very wider term. May be registered, may not be registered, may be taxable, may not be taxable, every person. But who is a taxable person? The person who is liable to pay that, who is liable to take registration either under 22 or 24. And who is registered person? जो person liable था registered के लिए और उसने registration ले लिया, then he will be the registered person. Why it is important? Because at some place you will read the word taxable person. At some place you will read the word registered person. At some place you will read the word only person. जैसे हमने refund की बात की थी. Remember, in the refund section 54 subsection 1, I told you the word is written any person. It means unregistered person are also entitled to take the refund. ऐसा क्यों? क्योंकि वहां पे सिर्फ जो वर्ड यूज किया है वो सिर्फ वर्ड यूज किया एनी पर्सन. तो जो ये डिफरेंस है, ये डिफरेंस आप हमेशा ध्यान रखना वेन एवर यू विल रीड द जीएसटी लॉ. ठीक है, लेट्स मूव फर्दर. Circumstances for, so as per 67, the inspection can be carried out by the proper officer only upon written authorization given by the rank of the joint commissioner or above. ठीक है. Circumstances for carrying out the inspection. Inspection can be carried out only after the joint commissioner or officer in the higher rank gives such authorization to the proper officer. Such authorization can be given by the Joint Commissioner or an officer higher in the rank only if reason to believe. अगर ये reason to believe satisfy होता है तभी inspection का आपको अप्रूवल मिलता है कि taxable person has done any of the following: suppressed any transaction of the goods or services, suppressed the stock of the goods in hand, claimed ITC in excess of his entitlement, or contravention of any provision of the act to evade the tax. क्या किया इसने? वापस पढ़ते हैं. Suppressed any transaction of the supply of the goods or services, suppressed stock of the goods in hand, claimed ITC in excess of his entitlement, and contravention of the provision of the act to evade the tax. Any person engaged in, देखो यहाँ पे क्या वर्ड यूज किया? टैक्सेबल पर्सन. अगर इनमें से कुछ भी काम करता है तो उसका ऑडिट इनिशिएट हो सकता है. और any person, now the word is any person, they have not used the word taxable person, they have not used the word registered person. In transporting the goods, मतलब कोई ट्रांसपोर्टर है, जीटीए, और on an owner or operator of the warehouse or godown or any other place has kept the goods which has escaped payment of tax or has kept his accounts in a manner that is likely to cause evasion of tax. उस केस में उस पर्सन का जो कि ट्रांसपोर्टर है या ऑनर या ऑपरेटर है गोडाउन का, इन दैट केस उसका प्लेस ऑफ बिजनेस भी इंस्पेक्ट किया जा सकता है. रीजन टू बिलीव, बार बार कई बार ये वर्ड यूज होता है. व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ रीजन टू बिलीव? रीजन टू बिलीव मीन्स हैविंग द नॉलेज ऑफ द फैक्ट which although not amounting to the direct knowledge would cause a reasonable person knowing the same fact to reasonably conclude the same thing. As per section 26 of IPC, a person is said to have reason to believe a thing if he has sufficient cause to believe that thing but not otherwise. Reason to believe contemplate an objective determination based on intelligent care and evaluation as distinguished from a subjective consideration. मतलब मुझे लगता है कि उस पर्सन ने चोरी किया है, मुझे लगता है कि वो पर्सन कुछ सप्रेस कर रहा है टर्नओवर. इट इज नॉट रीजन टू बिलीव. आई शुड हैव सम एविडेंस which if I will give to any other person, then he will also conclude the same thing. That will be the reason to believe. The reason to believe is more than a mere suspicion, but less than evidence about the violation of the law. It has to be and must be of the honest and reasonable person based on the relevant material and circumstances. Meaning of search: either pursuant to an inspection or otherwise. मतलब या तो पहले इंस्पेक्शन हुआ है 67(1) में एंड देन उसके बाद में सर्च हुई है, और अदरवाइज इट मींस डायरेक्टली a search can be initiated. The point to be noted: inspection and search are two different things. Both are covered in the section 67, different subsection, but the point is both are different. Based on the inspection or otherwise it is felt that any goods which are liable to be confiscated under the act, or any document or books or things are secreted or stored, are found, or any document, books of accounts are found which may be useful for the department in the proceeding, the department could search and seize such goods, document and books. मतलब उन गुड्स को, उन डॉक्यूमेंट को, बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स को सीज कर सकते हैं. द टैक्स लॉ should provide the power to the enforcing officer to check the evasion of tax. As per the dictionary meaning and as noted in the different judicial pronouncement, the search in simple language denote an action of the government machinery to go and look through or examine carefully the place, area, person or object. क्या पर्पस है सर्च का? In order to identify the concealed transaction or to discover the evidence of the crime. The search of the person, the vehicle, or the premises can only be done under the proper and valid authority of the law. As per Section 67, search and seizure can be carried out by the Joint Commissioner or the officer higher in the rank, or by an officer authorized by such person not below the rank of the Joint Commissioner, only if he has reason to believe that any goods liable to be confiscated, document, books or things. Matlab, if there is any pen drive, can they seize the pen drive also? Can they seize the mobile also? Answer is just because they've used our things, which in his opinion shall be useful for or relevant for any proceeding under the Act or secreted in any place. The term seizure has not been specifically defined in the law. The lexicon dictionary, seizure is defined as the act of taking the physical custody, actual or constructive, of the property by an officer under legal process. It generally implies the custody forcibly, contrary to the wish of the owner who has lawful possession and who has the unwilling to part of the possession. Not only the input and even capital goods may be seized, but all the offending properties, whether it can be movable or immovable, books, records, computer, database, everything that assist in the proceeding and in the protection of the government revenue may be seized. The person from whom documents, books and things are seized shall have the right to take the copies. But क्या है ये discretionary right है. क्या मतलब होता है discretionary का? Subject to the approval of the officer. If the officer feel that if I will give the document, then he might use these documents to make the fake books of accounts. In such case, they may deny the same to take the copies also. Now, what is the confiscation of the goods? Section 130. Goods become liable to confiscate where any person does the following. क्या करता है? Supplies or receive the goods in contravention of the provision of the act or the rules made thereunder. But what is the point? With an intention to evade the payment of tax. मतलब मेन प्राइमरी पॉइंट क्या है? इंटेंशन होना चाहिए इवेजन का. अगर इवेजन का इंटेंशन नहीं है, then they cannot be confiscated under section 130. Does not account for any goods which is liable to pay the tax under this act. मतलब कोई भी गुड्स जिसका उसने अकाउंटिंग नहीं किया है, which is liable to pay the tax. It means the purpose would be that he like to sell without doing the accounting, without tax invoice, bogus sale and purchase. Then the goods can be detained. Supplies any goods liable to tax without applying the registration. So I'm making the supply taxable goods, but I have not obtained the registration. Even I was liable to do so. Contravene any of the provision of the GST law with an intention to evade the payment of tax. So let me highlight one point. See, when you will read the tomorrow class and when we'll discuss the tomorrow class, the demand and recovery and penal provision in the subsequent classes. So ये वाला जो वर्ड है ना, विद एन इंटेंशन टू इवेट द टैक्स, इट बिकम वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो व्हेन आई विल रीड सेक्शन 122, 123, तो आपको ये मालूम चलेगा, अगर ये इंटेंशन नहीं है इवेजन का, देन द प्रोविजन और द रेस्पेक्टिव पेनल्टी could not be attracted or could not be levied. Use any conveyance as mean of transporting or carries the goods in contravention of the provision of this act or the rules made thereunder, unless the owner of the conveyance proves that it was used without his knowledge, or conveyance of the owner himself is agent if any and the person in charge of the conveyance. तो उस केस में वो मना कर सकता है, मतलब उस केस में वो लाइबल नहीं होगा, अदरवाइज वो लाइबल होगा. कौन? Convince, matlab see, the transporter, let's say Mr. A, who is the owner of that truck, he would be liable. But अगर ये कह दे Mr. A कि that उसके ट्रक को यूज किया है, उसको नॉलेज नहीं मालूम है, उसको मालूम ही नहीं है, in that case he could not be liable. So let me read what is the section 130. Section 130 is confiscation of the goods under section 130. कब कब हो सकता है? अगर गुड्स का सप्लाई किया है, if goods has been supplied or received also in contravention of the law, but with an intention to evade the payment of tax. Second, does not account for the goods, which is liable to pay the tax. Supply without registration. Supply the taxable goods without registration. Contravene any of the provisions of the CGST Act or the rules made thereunder, but intention to evade the payment of tax. And last, use the conveyance as mean of the transport for carrying the goods. कौन से goods? जो कॉन्ट्रावेन किए हैं, जिस गुड्स ने कॉन्ट्रावेंशन किया है प्रोविजन का, unless the owner that it was so used without his knowledge. मतलब उस ट्रक को भी कॉन्फिस्केट किया जा सकता है. ठीक है. Let's take a discussion of power of the officer during the search. And officer carrying out the search has the power to search and seize the goods which are liable for confiscation and document books and things relevant for any proceeding under the act from the premises searched. However, if it is not practicable to seize any such goods, ऐसा क्यों? Let's assume that officer has inspected the premises of Mr. A and there is a huge plant and machinery, and officer feel that this plant and machinery liable to be seized, but it is not possible. Movement is not possible, or the officer does not have the sufficient space. Officer does not have the sufficient space. In those cases, yes, it can be seized. Then the same may be detained. That is, he may order the owner or the custodian to not remove the goods except with the permission of the officer. मतलब goods उसी की प्रीमाइजेस में रहेगा, लेकिन वो उस गुड्स में डील नहीं कर सकता. गुड्स कैन बी raw material, finished goods, or can be capital goods also. So the person from whom these are seized shall be entitled to take the copy or extract of the seized record in presence of any authorized officer at a place and time indicated by the officer. Taking copy may be denied where, in the opinion of the officer, that taking the copy or such extract may prejudicially affect the investigation. During the search, officer has the power to break open the door of the premises authorized to be searched if access is being denied. Similarly, while carrying out the search within the premises, he can break open any almirah or box if access to the almirah or the box is denied, in which any goods, accounts, register, document are suspected to be concealed. He can also seal the premises if access is to be denied. The seized document books things shall be written only till the time the same are required for examination, inquiry or proceeding. Problem क्या है? उन्होंने कोई टाइम लिमिट फिक्स नहीं किया. Sometime practically they are keeping the records. They are keeping the goods for so long period, which is not justifiable ideally. 3 साल, 4 साल, 5 साल. It is not possible because goods cannot be detained so long or the seal cannot be detained so long. तो लॉ में कहीं नहीं किया, बट इन दैट केस दे नीड टू अप्रोच हाई कोर्ट ओनली टू इंटरवीन द मैटर. बट अगर लॉ की बात करेंगे, सीज डॉक्यूमेंट बुक्स थिंग्स शैल बी डिटेन्ड ओनली टिल द टाइम सेम आर रिक्वायर्ड फॉर एग्जामिनेशन इंक्वायरी प्रोसीडिंग. If these are not relied for the case, then the same will be returned within 30 days from the issuance of the so cause notice. Correct? So by this, we have completed some part. Let's take a break of 7-8 minutes. We will resume at 7-5, 8-5. We will resume at 8-5 and we'll continue the balance part of the discussion. Okay. So Manish ji, break start कर दीजिए. Now the point is कि manner of the release of the confiscated goods or document. First is provisional basis. It means the seized goods shall be released on a provisional basis. Why it will be released? On execution of the bond and furnishing of the prescribed security or applicable, because government is getting the revenue or it has been secured. Can anybody tell me where we have discussed this similar provision कि बॉन्ड और सिक्योरिटी के रूप में फर्निशिंग करना पड़ेगा उसे? Where we have discussed this similar provision bond and security? We have discussed today only. Can you tell me where we have discussed this bond and security point? The answer is, oh, very nice, Ginny. Very nice. We have discussed this point at provisional assessment. कितना परसेंट सिक्योरिटी देना पड़ता है? Can you tell me how much percentage the security is to be given? कितना परसेंटेज उसको देना पड़ता है? Answer is 25%. Very nice. तो या तो गुड्स प्रोविजनल बेसिस पर रिलीज किए जा सकते हैं द पर्सन हैज बीन गिवन द बॉन्ड एंड सिक्योरिटी or he is making the payment of applicable tax interest penalty. Actual return of the goods. In case of the seizure of the goods, the notice has to be issued within 6 months. If no notice is issued within a period of 6 months, then all such goods shall be returned. However, this period of 6 months can be extended by the officer, just the actual return of the goods. In case seizure of the goods, a notice has to be issued within 6 months. If no notice is issued within a period of 6 months, then all goods shall be returned. However, this period of 6 months can be extended for another 6 months on sufficient cause. Give me exact place where we have discussed 6 plus 6. Give me exact place where we have discussed 6 plus 6 at one more place. And give me the answer where we have discussed 60 plus 60 days. हमने ये दो बात कहां पे पढ़ी? Just I am trying to helping you to recall the provision. That's it. इसका और उस प्रोविजन का कोई लिंक नहीं है. See, frankly speaking, there is no link to these two provisions. Only point, I just trying to help you to remember this theoretical part in your mind. Yes. ये 6 plus 6 month क्या है और 60 plus 60 क्या है? The answer is 6 plus 6 is the finalization of provisional assessment. Finalization of the provisional assessment. And 60 plus 60 क्या है? Withdrawal of the assessment order. Absolutely correct. Withdrawal of the assessment order. Very nice बेटा. ठीक है. अभी हम बात करते हैं disposal of the goods. The government may having regard to the perishable or hazardous in the nature or depreciation in the value. See, गवर्नमेंट को ये लगता है कि गुड्स जो है वो खराब होने वाला है, पेरिसेबल है, ठीक है, या डेंजर है, या गुड्स ऑलरेडी डेप्रिशिएट हो चुका है वैल्यू में, और गवर्नमेंट के पास स्पेस ही नहीं है गुड्स को रखने का, और गवर्नमेंट कोई नोटिफिकेशन इश्यू करके लिस्ट स्पेसिफाई कर सकते हैं. इन दीज फोर सिचुएशन द गुड्स कैन बी डिस्पोज्ड ऑफ बाय द प्रॉपर ऑफिसर. Goods can be disposed of by the proper officer in the prescribed manner. If during the search such specified goods has been seized, he shall prepare the inventory in the prescribed manner. ठीक है. Procedure for conducting the search, क्या प्रोसीजर होगा? To ensure that provision for search and seizure are implemented in a proper and transparent manner, the Act stipulates that search and seizure shall be carried out in accordance with the provision of Criminal Procedure Code (CRPC). Section 100 of the Code of Criminal Procedure describe the search process. ठीक है. Basic requirement be observed while search operation. No search should be carried out without the valid search warrant. Second, there should invariably lady officer to accompany search team to the residence. अगर कोई residence पे search हो रही है तो it is mandatory to have the lady officer. The officer before starting the search should disclose their identity by showing the identity card. The search warrant should be executed before the start of the search by showing the same to the person in charge, and his signature should be taken on the body of the search warrant in token of having seen the same. वापस रिपीट करता हूं. Search warrant should be executed before the start of the search by showing the same to the person in charge of the premises, and his signature should be taken on the body of the search warrant as a confirmation that yes उसने देख लिया है. Signature of at least 2 witnesses should also be taken on the body of search warrant. ठीक है. The search should be made in presence of at least 2 independent witness from the locality. ये normally practically follow नहीं होता है. If no such inhabitant are available or willing, the inhabitant of any other locality should be asked to be witness to the search. The witness should be briefed about the purpose. Before starting the search proceeding, the team of the officer conducting the search and accompanying witness should offer their personal search to the person in charge of the premises being searched. Similarly, after the completion, all the officer and the witness should again offer themselves for their personal search. A panchnama or mahjar of the proceeding of the search should necessarily be prepared on the spot. A list of all goods, document recovered and seized, detained should be prepared and annexed to the panchnama. The panchnama and the list of the goods detained should invariably be signed by the witness, the in charge or owner of the premises before whom the search is conducted, and also by the officer duly authorized for conducting the search. After the search is over, the search warrant duly executed should be returned in original to the issuing officer with a report regarding the outcome of the search. The name of the officer who participated in the search may also be written on reverse of the search warrant. Issuing authority should maintain the register of the records of search warrant issued and returned to used. Search warrant should be kept in record. Copy of the panchnama along with its annexure should be given to the person in charge or owner of the premises being searched under acknowledgement. So these are the some guideline or some I can say process should be added. Otherwise, we need to refer that during the search section 100 to be referred of the CRP. होता क्या सर्च वारंट में? ठीक है. What is the content of the search warrant? The written authority to conduct the search is generally called the search warrant. The competent authority to issue the search warrant is an officer of the rank of the Joint Commissioner or above. कौन competent है? Joint Commissioner and above. In this chapter only, where we have discussed that Joint Commissioner and above can do this thing. In this chapter, I'm not going to the assessment chapter. मैं search seizure की बात कर रहा हूँ, inspection की बात कर रहा हूँ, where we have discussed that yes, this power is with the Joint Commissioner or above only. Or maybe you can go to the back chapter, assessment chapter भी. अगर आपको लगता है yes, you have discussed at some place Joint Commissioner, tell me where you have discussed that Joint Commissioner and above. Any idea? Yes. एक तो प्रोविजनल असेसमेंट में था जॉइंट कमिश्नर असिस्टेंट कमिश्नर, एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. और यस, एक था सर्कमस्टांसेस फॉर कैरिंग आउट द इंस्पेक्शन. एक और ऊपर जाते हैं, क्या था? an inspection can be carried out only after the joint commissioner or officer higher rank authorize the proper officer. ठीक है, और एक जगह और था ना जॉइंट कमिश्नर, और एक जगह और था ना असेसमेंट इन स्पेशल केस, ऐसा कुछ था ना, असेसमेंट इन स्पेशल सर्कमस्टांसेस समथिंग उसमें था ना, फास्ट ट्रैक असेसमेंट में वी हैव डिस्कस ना इन द फास्ट ट्रैक असेसमेंट आल्सो, जस्ट आस्किंग. Now, correct. So, what are the content? The content is search warrant and its content. The written authority to conduct the search is generally called search warrant. Okay. The competent authority to issue the search warrant is an officer of the rank of the joint commissioner or above. Search warrant must indicate the existence of the reasonable belief leading to the search. Should contain the violation, premises, name and designation of the person authorized for search, name of the issuing officer, date and place, serial number of the search warrant, period of validity, that is a day or two, etc. Safeguard provided in respect of search or seizure. Certain safeguards are provided in section 67 of the CGST Act in respect of the power of the search or seizure. These are as follows. Seized goods or documents should not be retained beyond the period necessary for their examination. Photocopies of the document can be taken from whose custody document are seized. ठीक है, पहला क्या है, सीज, पहला क्या पॉइंट है, सेफगार्ड्स प्रोवाइडेड इन रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ सर्च और सीजर. Certain safeguards are provided in 67 in respect of the power of the search or seizure. These are as follows. Seized goods or documents should not be retained beyond the period necessary for their examination. Photocopies of the document can be taken by the person from whose custody goods or documents are seized. Photocopy of the document can be taken by the person. For seized goods, if the notice is issued within 6 months for its seizure, goods shall be returned to the person from whose possession it was seized. This period of 6 months can be extended by another period of 6 months. मतलब 6 month plus 6 more month. अगर गुड सीज कर दिया और नोटिस इश्यू नहीं किया विद इन 6 मंथ, देन जो गुड सीज किया दैट हैज टू बी रिटर्न्ड. If they have not issued the notice, this period of 6 months can be extended by another period of 6 months. Certain specified categories of the goods, such as perishable, hazardous, can be disposed of immediately. Like गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया, इन गुड्स को नोटिफाई किया, दे हैव इशूड वन नोटिफिकेशन एंड दे हैव गिवन द कैटेगरी ऑफ द गुड्स इन दैट नोटिफिकेशन. न्यूज, जैसे न्यूज़पेपर हो गया, पीरियोडिकल हो गया, मेंथॉल हो गया, पेट्रोलियम प्रोडक्ट एटसेट्रा, बॉल पॉइंट. एन इन्वेंटरी shall be made by the seizing officer always. The CRPC relating to search and seizure shall apply. However, one important modification, that the instead of sending the copies of the record in the course of the search to the nearest magistrate, it has to be sent to the principal commissioner or commissioner of the GST. मतलब क्या होता है कि CRPC में अगर आप ये if you refer this provision, then they are talking about sending to the nearest magistrate. So for this purpose only, the word magistrate has been replaced with the word commissioner. ठीक है. Except this, rest all provision are same. ठीक है. Inspection of goods in movement. CPC has been replaced. Yes. So correspond. Yes, Hemant. So all the three act, Indian Evidence Act, CPC, this has been amended. भारतीय नागरिक सुरक्षा संहिता आ रही, भारतीय संविधान अधिनियम. तो अभी हुआ क्या है, these amendment are not made in the GST law. If you read the bare act of the GST law, still the amendment, name change has not been made. No, you are not required to write the new name. You will continue with this name only. Reason, because see, we are mentioning whatever it is given in the GST law. If you see the GST Act, still this old name is being continued. अभी अगर आप फाइनेंस एक्ट 25 की भी बात करेंगे, still they have not made the amendment in the law. So yes, it will be amended, obviously, because now these are not in place. But exam के point of view से, you will write the same CRPC, CPC, whatever it has been given, IPC, wherever you are required to refer. तो आपको यही पुराने वाले नाम यूज करने हैं. Inspection can also be carried out of a conveyance carrying a consignment of value exceeding specified limit. Can anyone tell me what is the specified limit? क्या limit है? What is the specified limit? We have already discussed now. Yes, answer is 50,000. Answer is 50,000. Quickly, can you give me the answer? Can you give me the answer? In which case? I do agree that this question is pertaining to the e-way bill chapter. ई-वे बिल चैप्टर, बट आप मुझे बता सकते हैं कि किस केस में ये 50,000 की लिमिट एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगी एंड वी नीड टू जनरेट मैंडेटरली ई-वे बिल. कैन यू टेल मी व्हेन वी नीड टू जनरेट मैंडेटरली ई-वे बिल? कब? नहीं, 50,000 is applicable for inter only. Intra state has the power to decide the law. State may keep same or may be different. Like if I go to the Gujarat or Bihar, they says 1 lakh, or Delhi also it says 1 lakh. तो ये 50,000 इंटर के लिए है. बट माय क्वेश्चन इज व्हेन दिस लिमिट विल नॉट बी लुक्ड इनटू, मैंडेटरली यू आर रिक्वायर्ड टू generate the e-way bill irrespective of any value. Kindly give me the answer. There are the two situations which we have discussed in chapter 10. याद नहीं है? ऐसा मत करो यार, गलत है. दिस इज नॉट फेयर. दिस इज नॉट फेयर यार. One is interstate from principal to job worker, mandatory e-way bill. And second case, if casual taxable person moving the handicraft goods, unregistered person who is not registered, then it is mandatory. It is mandatory to prepare the e-way bill irrespective of any value. Now, it says that person in charge of the conveyance has to produce prescribed document and device for verification and allow inspection. E-way bill has been prescribed for the said purpose. The same has already been discussed in the chapter 10. Correct. Now, power to arrest. So, section 69 is linked with the section 132. What is the linking? They are saying arrest can be happen in the cases of section 132. They have given some clauses, 1, 2, something clause ka reference has been given. So try to understand what is the difference between arrest and arrest and prosecution. क्या डिफरेंस है दोनों टर्म में? प्रोसिक्यूशन किसको कहते हैं और अरेस्ट किसको कहते हैं? जेल में जाना, दोनों का मतलब तो है बिहाइंड द बार. ठीक है, दैट इज क्लियर. बट इन द केस ऑफ द प्रोसिक्यूशन, दैट बार मतलब द पर्सन विल बी सेंट अगेंस्ट द बिहाइंड द बार ओनली आफ्टर द ट्रायल ऑफ द केस. मतलब जैसे सब कुछ कंक्लूड हो गया, magistrate has given the final verdict, then only the person can be sent behind the bar. But arrest में क्या होता है? During the trial of the case, the person can be sent behind the bar. क्योंकि मैटर इतना सीवियर है, because the matter की severity is so that the GST law says that we cannot wait for completion of trial. That is the difference. The term arrest has not been defined in the law, However, as per the judicial pronunciation, it did not taking into custody of a person under some lawful command or authority. In other words, the person is said to be arrested when he is taken or restrained of his liberty by power or colorful colors of the lawful warrant. ठीक है? Arrest can be carried out only where the person is accused of offense is specified for this purpose and the tax amount involved always more than specified limit. कितना specified limit है? More than 2 crore. ठीक है? कौन से ऑफेंस है? That we will discuss. So combination of two. पहला दोनों चीजें satisfied होनी चाहिए. कौन से ऑफेंस और कितना अमाउंट प्लस बोथ आर बीइंग कंबाइंड कंडीशन. अगर दोनों होगा तो ही उस पर्सन को अरेस्ट किया जा सकता है डायरेक्टली ड्यूरिंग द ट्रायल ऑल्सो. द अरेस्ट कैन बी मेड ओनली अंडर ऑथराइजेशन फ्रॉम द कमिश्नर. Whenever the commissioner has reason to believe that any person have committed any specified offense, he can authorize subordinate to arrest that person. Various offense committed in connection with evasion of the tax are also punishable with imprisonment. For some offense liable to be more number of years of imprisonment, the offender has to be prosecuted before appropriate court. The nature of the offense are been given in the section 132. तो 132 हम रीड करेंगे ऑफेंस एंड पेनल्टी के चैप्टर में डिटेल्ड में, बट यस it has some reference. What is that reference? 132 subsection 1 clause A, clause B, clause C, clause D. 4 offense. Invoice issued without the supply of the goods, or goods has been supplied without the cover of tax invoice. ITC has been taken by the recipient only on the fake invoice. And fourth is tax collected but not paid. तो again मैं वापस ये कह रहा हूं कि that four, let me see that whether these four has been given in the study material or not, otherwise we will discuss in नहीं. Just wait for the one more week and we will discuss this provision, section 132 in offense and penalty chapter. ठीक है? These are the four offense, or under section 132. 132 is talking about 132 is talking about repeat offense. It means he is conducting subsequently. 132(1) is talking about first time of offense and 132 is talking about repeat offender. तो इस दो केस में देखो 132(1) में तो सिर्फ 4 क्लॉज को कवर किया है, बट 132(2) में सभी टाइप के कवर है. मतलब देयर इज नो अमाउंट. यहां पर अमाउंट कितना है, यहां पे प्लस बोला गया इफ इट इज मोर देन 2 करोड़. ठीक है? Once we will reach to 132, then we will be able to understand more clearly. But yes, chapter 21. And what is the amount? Amount is more than 2 crore. However, the monetary limit will not be applicable अगर repeat offense है. मतलब person पहले भी कर चुका है and again he is convicting that offense, can be arrested irrespective of the tax amount. Fine. Let's move for the safeguard. There are certain safeguard provided under section 69 for a person who is placed under arrest. These are, if a person is arrested for a cognizable offense, he must be informed in writing for the ground of arrest and he must be produced before the magistrate within 24 hours. ये guidance है, मतलब has to be followed. Just wait for some time. ज्ञानेंद्र, just wait for some time. एक बार हम वहां पे रीड करते हैं ना, that section 132 पहुंचने दीजिए, then we will discuss this point. Very interesting, very very nice question. अभी हम बात नहीं करते हैं इसके बारे में. ठीक है? If the person is arrested for a non-cognizable and bailable, अब हमें क्या समझना है, नॉन कॉग्निजेबल का मतलब क्या और बेलेबल का मतलब क्या, और कॉग्निजेबल का मतलब क्या और नॉन बेलेबल का मतलब क्या. See, there are two terms which is used. One is non-cognizable and bailable, एंड सेकेंड इज कॉग्निजेबल एंड नॉन बेलेबल। इनका मतलब क्या है? जस्ट let me tell you one word. Non-cognizable means less serious in nature. Cognizable means highly serious offense. तभी उन्होंने कहा नॉन बेलेबल। बेलेबल मतलब जिसकी बेल हो जाती है, नॉन बेलेबल मतलब क्या, जिसकी बेल नहीं होती? नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है। बेल वुड बी ग्रांटेड फॉर बोथ कैटेगरीज ऑफ द ऑफेंस, नॉन कॉग्निजेबल एज वेल एज कॉग्निजेबल। तो फिर नॉन बेलेबल क्यों कहा गया है? The bailable offense, it means the bail can be granted by the arresting person himself. जो भी अरेस्टिंग ऑफिसर है वो ही बेल ग्रांट कर सकता है अगर ऑफेंस बेलेबल है। अगर ऑफेंस नॉन बेलेबल है तो बेल would be granted not by the person officer who is arresting, it will be given by the court, by the magistrate. That is the only difference in non-bailable versus bailable offense. ठीक है? If a person is arrested for a non-cognizable and bailable, the deputy commissioner or assistant commissioner can release him on bail, and he will subject to the same provision as officer in charge of a police station. मतलब वो असिस्टेंट कमिश्नर, वो डिप्टी कमिश्नर मान लिया जाएगा कि वो ऑफिसर इंचार्ज है। All arrests must be in accordance with the provision of the Code of Criminal Procedure relating to arrest. Section 132 also prescribe which type of the offense are cognizable and non-bailable and which type of the offense are non-cognizable and bailable. तो वो हम section 132 जब read करेंगे then we will discuss. Meaning of cognizable offense. Generally, cognizable offense means serious category of the offense in respect of which police officer has the authority to make the arrest without warrant and to start an investigation with or without the permission of the court. ठीक है? और नॉन कॉग्निजेबल क्या है? लेस सीरियस है and in respect of which arrest warrant would be mandatorily required. You cannot, मतलब police officer cannot arrest without warrant and investigation cannot be initiated without the court order. ठीक है? Now cognizable and non bailable offense, यहाँ पर any question? ठीक है? Section 132 provide that offense relating to the taxable goods and or services where the amount of the tax or the amount of the ITC wrongly availed or amount of the refund wrongly exceed rupees 5 crore shall be cognizable and non-bailable. In such case, the bail can be considered by a judicial magistrate only. तो ये बात मैंने आपको बता दी। 132 क्या कहता है? जहां पे टैक्सेबल गुड्स है और जहां पे टैक्स का अमाउंट या आईटीसी का अमाउंट या रिफंड का अमाउंट 5 करोड़ से ज्यादा है। 5 करोड़ मतलब टोटल, ऐसा नहीं कि 5 + 5 10 करोड़। वैल्यू की जब बात करते हैं नॉर्मली, सी दैट कुड बी डिफरेंट, हम वापस बात कर लेंगे, बट यहाँ पे 5 करोड़ की बात करें मतलब द 5 करोड़ वुड बी द वैल्यू ऑफ द गुड्स, इट इज नॉट सीजीएसटी। सीजीएसटी कब अप्लाई होगा? और एसजीएसटी वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द टैक्स कंपोनेंट, राइट? अगर हम यहाँ पे 5 करोड़ की बात करें वैल्यू ऑफ द गुड्स की या वैल्यू ऑफ द टैक्स की, इट मींस इन टोटलिटी। बेल कैन बी कंसिडर्ड बाय द जुडिशियल मजिस्ट्रेट ओनली। बट मैं फिर भी कहता हूं हम इसको वापस चर्चा करेंगे, दैट वी विल डिस्कस अगेन इन द मेन सेक्शन जब मैं ऑफेंस एंड पेनल्टी की बात करूंगा, राइट ज्ञानेंद्र? अदर ऑफेंस अंडर द एक्ट नॉन कॉग्निजेबल एंड बेलेबल। मतलब क्या हुआ? देखो अब यहाँ पे डिफरेंस क्या है। अगर आपका जो भी कंपोनेंट है वो 5 करोड़ से ज्यादा है, इन दैट केस, अगर 5 करोड़ से ज्यादा है, इन दैट केस इट इज कॉग्निजेबल एंड नॉन बेलेबल। कॉग्निजेबल है, ठीक है, एंड नॉन बेलेबल। और अरेस्ट कितने पर हो सकती है? 2 करोड़ से ज्यादा पर। अरेस्ट 2 करोड़ से ज्यादा पर हो सकती है, बट कॉग्निजेबल एंड नॉन बेलेबल 5 करोड़ है। एंड यू विल फाइंड वन इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट, 132 जो रिपीट ऑफेंडर की बात करता है ना, वहां पे अमाउंट इज रिलेवेंट, अमाउंट इज रिलेवेंट। मतलब क्या हुआ, अगर किसी पर्सन ने रिपीट दूसरी बार सब्सिक्वेंटली ऑफेंस किया है सेम जो 132 में लिस्टेड है, देन रिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ एनी अमाउंट ऑल ऑफेंस आर कॉग्निजेबल एंड नॉन बेलेबल। 132 की बात है। प्रिकॉशन टेकन ड्यूरिंग द अरेस्ट, the provisions of the Code of Criminal Procedure CRPC relating to the arrest and the procedure thereof must be added in all situation amounting to arrest. It is therefore necessary that all field officers of the CGST be familiar with the provisions of the CRPC. Other important provisions, Section 57, which provide that a person arrested without warrant shall not be detained for a period longer than not exceed 24 hours. मतलब उसको कोर्ट मजिस्ट्रेट के सामने प्रोड्यूस करना पड़ेगा. Within this period, as provided under Section 56, the person making the arrest shall send the person so arrested without warrant before a magistrate having the jurisdiction in this case. Guideline for arrest. The decision to arrest need to be taken on case-to-case basis, considering the various factors: nature, gravity of the offense, quantum of the duty evaded or credit wrongly availed, nature and quality of the evidence, possibility of evidence being tampered with or without, with or witness being influenced, cooperation with the investigation, etc. The power to arrest has to be exercised after careful consideration of the fact which may include: ensure the proper investigation to prevent such person from absconding, mastermind or key operator C, बिकॉज मास्टरमाइंड के कारण उन्होंने क्या एक मस्त बहुत ही बढ़िया 122(1) ने इंसर्ट किया है एक पेनल्टी. वी विल डिस्कस इन द ऑफेंस एंड पेनल्टी चैप्टर बिकॉज वर्ड मास्टरमाइंड केम, सो आई एम टेलिंग टू यू. नॉर्मली व्हाट हैपन, द सर्टेन पर्सन आर using the Aadhaar card and PAN card of their labor, of their worker, who might not aware also, and somehow they are obtaining the GST registration, and all such person are doing the fake transaction. Let's say if any demand etc is being issued, then they are coming to the, then the officer are coming to the registered person. तो registered person का जब वो इंक्वायरी करते हैं तो मालूम चला ये तो लेबर है, ये तो वर्कर है. Then in that case they could not be recover the taxes, penalty etc. Then what would be the case? नया penalty provision add किया गया for mastermind also. And उनकी उस केस में उनकी even property can be attached to recover the tax. This would be inserted. It was not in the law. It was not in the beginning of the law. It was later on inserted to capture, to cover the mastermind or key operator, proxy, benami, importer, exporter in the name of the dummy, etc. Mastermind or key operator effecting proxy, benami, import, export, the name of the dummy, IC, import, export code, etc. Where the intent to evade the duty is evident and element of mens rea, guilty mind is palpable. Now, ये क्या होता है mens rea? Mens rea क्या होता है? ये बड़ा important term है. It is very important term. Mens rea means guilty mind. Mens rea means guilty mind. What is mean? It is exactly like 74. Means if someone has used the tax invoice, if someone has used the tax invoice by using the GST number of B instead of A, क्या उसने जानबूझकर किया है या जस्ट बाय मिस्टेक है? He might have taken the refund of a transaction which ideally not allowed. Might be he was knowing the law and erroneously taken, or mistake was genuine. तो जब भी criminal offense होता है, normally this concept comes in the criminal offense. In case of the criminal offense, the mens rea are important, guilty mind is important. Normally in the taxation law, the mens rea is not to be looked normally. But point to be noted, that when certain words are being used intentionally, like 74. 74 में क्या कहा है? Fraud, willful misstatement, suppression of the fact. It means here to invoke the section 74, it has to be proved that the mens rea was present. Guilty mind, intentional mistake was there. Like we will read multiple provision. Like in today class also, we have used the word with an intention to evade the payment of tax. Intention to evade, because उन्होंने वर्ड क्या यूज किया? evade यूज किया है. इसका मतलब it is mandatory to have the evasion. It is mandatory to have the evasion intentionally. अभी वो चीज इन्वोक हो सकती है, अदरवाइज नॉट. Prevention of the possibility of tampering with evidence, intimidating or influencing witness, large amount of the evasion of the tax. Then power to summon, section 70. Summon में क्या होता है? They like the presence of the person to take the evidence या produce the document. What is the section 70? During the course of inquiry under this act, the officer may summon any person to appear before him and give evidence or produce the document. The person to whom such summon has been issued is duty bound to appear before the officer and bound to tender the evidence, give a statement on oath. He is also bound to produce all documents which are required to be furnished. Asking for evidence or requiring to produce a document does not permit calling for entire set of the books of accounts. It is important to call for specific evidence or document. Recording the statement on oath is not the conclusion of investigation, but to further the investigation that the evidence obtained in the summon will help in supporting the charge against a person. Statement made in summon are inherently unreliable for the reason the person may be anxious due to the nature. Such statements are also not free from the doubt due to the amicable relation between the person recording the statement and the person charged with offense. It is also important to note that a person who has made the statement may modify, even withdraw the statement. However, such modification or withdrawal cannot be done with an inordinate delay. Okay. Reliability of statement is discussed in section 136, in where 5 circumstances are stated wherein the statement may be accepted by a court as reliable. Section 136 has been discussed in detail in chapter. जितने भी ऑफेंस पेनल्टी का आया था ना, that we will discuss in chapter 121. और जो पॉइंट आप 2 करोड़ या 5 करोड़ का क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे थे, I have not given the answer in this class. Just might be I created the confusion among you. Only point, let me reach to that chapter and we'll discuss over there in the offense and penalty. कल कौन सा डिस्कस करेंगे चैप्टर? कल हम दोपहर में, and in the afternoon we have the class for that particular revision class, and in the evening we will have the next class, that is demand and recovery. Offense and penalty, in all other circumstances the court will administer oath again and record the evidence. The document not otherwise available may be summoned. ठीक है. Responsibility of the person so summoned. उसकी responsibility क्या है? A person who issued summon is legally bound to attend either in person or by authorized representative. It is mandatory. It is obligation. अगर वो appear नहीं होता है, then what is the consequence? The proceeding before the official who has issued the summon is deemed to be the judicial proceeding. If the person does not appear, then he can be prosecuted under section 174 of IPC. If he abscond to avoid the summon, he can be prosecuted under 172 of IPC. And in case he not produce the document or records required, he can be prosecuted under 175 of IPC. In case he give the false evidence, then he will be prosecuted under 193. मतलब कहने का क्या है? This is a judicial proceeding and liable under Indian Penal Code. If a person does not appear before the CGST or SGST officer, he will be liable to the penalty of 25,000 under 122 3D. ठीक है? Guidance or issuance of the summons. So CBIC has took a note of this particular. See, officer are using the summon part very commonly, very frequently. So therefore, the CBIC has given the guideline. What they are saying, CBIC in the Department of Revenue has issued the guideline from time to time to ensure that summon provision are not misused. Some of the important highlight. Summon are to be issued at the last resort where the SSC are not cooperating. And this section should not be used for summoning the top management. Directly you are giving the summon to the XYZ Limited ke director. Let's say it is a listed company, very reputed organization. And if you issue the summon to the director, it will cause the doubt on the entire organization. It might affect adversely the business operations, share market, etc. So therefore, they are saying that summon should not be issued directly to the top management. लैंग्वेज जो है समन की वो हार्श नहीं होनी चाहिए, लीगली वर्डेड इन सच ए मैनर दैट unnecessary mental stress and embarrassment to the receiver. Summon by the superintendent should be issued after obtaining the written permission from the officer not below the rank of the assistant commissioner, with the reason for issuance of the summon to be recorded in writing. Where for operational reason, it is not possible to obtain the prior written permission, orally or telephonic permission from such officer must be obtained, and same shall be reduced to writing and intimated to the officer at least at the earliest opportunity. In all cases, the summon issue ho gaya hai, the officer issuing the summon should submit the report, should record the brief in the and submit the same to the officer who has authorized the issuance of the summon. Senior management like CEO, CFO, general manager of a large company, PSU should not generally be issued summon at first instance. They should summon only when there are indication of the investigation of their involvement in the decision making process which led to loss of revenue. Precaution to be observed while issuing the summon. The summon should not be issued for appearance where it is not justified. The power to summon can be exercised only when there is an inquiry being undertaken and attendance of the person is considered necessary. Normally, summon should not be issued repeatedly. As far as practicable, the statement of the accused or witness should be recorded in a minimum number of appearances. मतलब बार बार आप मत बुलाओ, not with an intention to harass that person. Normally what happen, the summon, normally कोई भी देखता ना कि इसको summon issue है, then it will create a mental stress. And what happen normally, practically in the summon, the intentionally the person who has been called are being kept in the office idly for long hour. Might be he person could be attended for after 6, 7, 8 hour only, after 8 p.m., 9 p.m., something like that. After office hour, they are being attended. And उनका जब record किया जाता ना statement, so normally not recording in the first time. They are recording, चलो आज नहीं कल आना, कल नहीं परसों नहीं नरसों आना. So like these, it will be mental stress activity also, and therefore this instruction has been given. Time of the appearance given in the summons should be respected. No person should be made for long hour before his statement to be recorded except when it has been decided very consciously as a matter of right. Okay. Preferably, statement should be recorded during office hour only. However, an exception could be made regarding the time and place of the recording having regard to the fact of the case. Now section 71, access to the business premises. मतलब business premises को access करना है तो कैसे करेंगे? Section 71, an officer duly authorized by the Joint Commissioner or an officer higher in the rank can have the access to the business premises which may be required for the purpose of carrying out the audit, scrutiny, verification, and checks as may be necessary to safeguard the interest of the revenue. During such access, the officer can inspect the books, document, computer program, and such other things as may be required. It is the duty of the person in charge of such premises to furnish the required document within 15 working days. Can you tell me 15 working days? Anywhere else we have discussed? 15 working days. Anywhere else we have discussed? कहीं तो पढ़ा था. Idea? Filing of returns. Section 63. Non-filers returns. Correct. एक तो असेसमेंट में हमने डिस्कस किया था जहां पे उसको 15 दिन का टाइम दिया जाता है कि यू कैन फाइल द रिटर्न एंड इट विल बी डीम्ड टू बी विथड्रॉन. Yes, absolutely correct. So try to link in this manner. It will help a lot. I can say it will help a lot. Okay. Now it is the duty of the person in charge of the such premises to furnish the required document within 15 working days from the day when such demand is made. Similarly, the person in charge of the business premises are also duty bound to furnish the document to the audit party deputed by the officer or the chartered accountant or cost accountant who has been deputed by the commissioner to carry out the special audit. Following records are covered by this provision and are to be produced if called for. The record prepared and maintained, the record prepared and maintained by the registered person and declared by the proper officer in the prescribed manner. Trial balance, statement of annual financial statement audited, cost audit, income tax audit, other relevant record. Power under section 71 may be contrast with the power under section 67 to the inspect premise. It may be noted that circumstances when each of the section are applicable are not similar. 71 is more general in scope and extent. भाई 71 भी बिजनेस प्रेमाइजेस का एक्सेस है और 67 भी इंस्पेक्शन है, तो दोनों में अंतर क्या है? तो दे आर ट्राइंग टू से दैट सेक्शन 71 is more general in its scope and extent, which predominantly gave access to the place of the business of a registered person to inspect the books, document, etc. for carrying out the audit, scrutiny, verification, whereas 67 is applicable in specific instances and applies to the specific person and place where the government has reason to believe that there is an intention to evade the payment of tax. सेक्शन 72 ऑफिसर टू असिस्ट प्रॉपर ऑफिसर. ये कौन से ऑफिसर है? 72 saying that following ऑफिसर मतलब पुलिस ऑफिसर, रेलवे ऑफिसर, कस्टम, सीजीएसटी ऑफिसर, एसजीएसटी ऑफिसर, यूटीजीएसटी ऑफिसर और ऑफिसर engaged in the collection of the land revenue, all village officer, any other class of the officer as may be notified by the central government or state government. क्या करेंगे वो लोग? Following officer have been empowered and are required to assist the CGST officer in the execution of the CGST Act. These categories are as follows. So ये लोग ऑफिसर क्या करेंगे? सभी लोग इसको असिस्ट करेंगे, इनको असिस्ट करेंगे CGST डिपार्टमेंट को, CGST ऑफिसर को फॉर एग्जीक्यूशन ऑफ द पर्टिकुलर. आई होप दिस चैप्टर इज ऑल्सो बीइंग कंप्लीटेड. बहुत आराम से, बहुत स्लो हमने डिस्कस किया. आई हैव लेफ्ट वन पॉइंट दैट आई विल डिस्कस in 132 2 crore 5 crore वाला पॉइंट कि whether it is individually for CGST or it is combined. ठीक है, क्योंकि वो टैक्स की बात कर रहा है, वैल्यू की बात नहीं कर रहा. where it has been for the value, then the answer would be different, and when it will be for tax, then answer would be different. बट हम बात करेंगे 132 में ऑफेंस पेनल्टी की चैप्टर में. एनी अदर पॉइंट विच यू लाइक टू आस्क? So by this we have completed the two topic today: inspection, search, seizure, Audit. Hi, sir. It may sound okay, no problem, beta. Why there is no mention of the books or records stored on the cloud server? Is it covered things? नहीं नहीं, अगर मैं रिकॉर्ड्स की बात करता हूं बेटा, प्रशांत के प्रशांत इज आस्क वन क्वेश्चन. इफ आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द रिकॉर्ड्स, देन रेफर द सेक्शन 50. हमने बात की थी ना 35 में, रीड विद रूल 54 56. वी हैव डिस्कस records can be maintained electronically also. If they are using the word books of accounts, so it is not necessary that books of accounts are recorded manually hard copy में. It can cover the soft copy also, it can be covered in the electronically also. तो मेरे हिसाब से वहां पे भी कवर हो जाएगा. एंड सेकंड थिंग, वर्ड थिंग्स इज वेरी वाइडर, तो थिंग्स में तो सब कुछ कवर हो जाएगा. इज दैट ओके? Reproduction of the actual provision of the actual provision. There is reproduction in the study mat. Is there any reason? ऐसा क्यों, मतलब, so you mean to say why there is no analysis, is it? Why there is no analysis, is it? नहीं, okay. So law का provision just it is doubling, but almost same things are there. All exactly almost if you see, if you compare ना, आपको almost same मिलेगा. बट आपने अच्छा पॉइंट दिया, एंड मैं भी इनसे डिस्कस करूंगा. दिस पॉइंट आई विल आल्सो डिस्कस कि भाई ऐसा हमने क्यों नहीं किया, व्हाई वी हैव नॉट गिवन. द इमीडिएट आंसर वुड बी, हेमंत, इमीडिएट आंसर वुड बी कि प्रोबेबली अगर आप लॉ को देखोगे ना, तो लॉ भी ऐसा ही बोलता है, एग्जैक्टली ऑल एग्जैक्टली सेम. देर इज नो फर्दर एनालिसिस रिक्वायर्ड इन दिस केस. व्हाई सो? बिकॉज होगा क्या, ये है तो लैंग्वेज तो बड़ी सिंपल है. अब ये सारे जुडिशियल पे डिपेंड करता है, जब इसकी फर्दर सेक्शन की इन डेप्थ रीडिंग होती है, एनालिसिस होता है, विच इज नॉट पार्ट ऑफ योर सिलेबस. सो उन्होंने जो हमारा स्टडी मटेरियल है, वो क्या होता है, अगर सेक्शन देता और उसका एनालिसिस देता ना, ऑलमोस्ट यू विल लुक लाइक सिमिलर थिंग्स. सो देयरफॉर दैट कुड बी द वन रीजन. So fine, thank you very much. Good night to all of you. We'll meet tomorrow 2 times, 12 to 3 revision class and 6 to 9 this class, demand and recovery. Goodbye to all of you.